Welcome to the Geeks Assembled podcast. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Hello, we are Geeks Assembled and we've gathered here today, and tonight we are going to review another Doctor Who episode, and this is going to be Demons of the Punjab. And tonight we're going to kick off. Let's go straight to Susan and Alex.
Hey, thanks, Alan. How's it going, everybody? This is us, and I enjoyed Demons of the Punjab a lot. I thought that the historical context was really interesting. I thought that the difference, the wedding thing, and I love the fact that the aliens were just there to watch and to feel bad and to mourn, and like that was really cool. And you know, the brother was so much like Tigana from Marco Polo. You know, he was trying to manipulate the situation and manipulate the government situation and really force his sister's hand, like they were forcing the hand of that one what was her name, Pincho in the Marco Polo story. So I mean, I found so many parallels to Marco Polo, and I really liked the fact that the doctor didn't, you know, try and muscle the situation, and you know, oh wow, she was amazing. She had some really brilliant lines, and I just encourage you to watch it. And here's Alex, because you know, he's also got a really amazing perspective.
Well, I don't know exactly what the historical references were per se, because most of what I studied was the Gandhi conflict, and that was, what, 40 years or 50 years before this one. Of course, then again, some conflicts never really go away. But again, I did enjoy the episode, not as much as the other two future ones that we haven't reviewed just yet. Yeah. But it is always good that they're showing more of a cast and they're not all the same, and you know, it's a different environment, and it did have some really good looking special effects. I don't know if I like the aliens as much, but again, it is another continuing anti-trope that they're showing that the aliens are not vicious or such and such. And of course, they're also showing the human beings being the monsters, which of course is true. But we also know this if we really read science fiction. And we know that part of the conflict in the human race is the propensity toward prejudice and war and things like that. So, again, I understand what they're trying to do. I do support this season. There's not as many episodes that I completely like, even 85%. But I understand what they're trying to do, and they're trying to be different. And I do appreciate that you have a brand new actor, brand new producer, brand new team in the TARDIS. Do I like it as much as the other teams in the TARDIS? No, not necessarily. But I do like, what's his name, Graham. So I think he's the favorite of the team, the new team or the new friends, or however you want to say it. And of course, like I said, they had to make a change from the previous years. So not one of my favorites, but I appreciate what they're trying to do. And I kind of wish they had explained more of the historical significance. I think that might have been lost on American viewers or viewers that are not acquainted with English or partially Indian history as well. Because, you know, again, even with the Gandhi conflict, that gives you a little bit more context, even though it's not the same decade or year. And I don't know if they had to do it because they didn't want to bog it down. It might have been considered too serious.
Yeah, Gandhi was way later.
Thanks for that, you two. Let's go. Stephen Price, have you watched this episode?
would be, what, 1800, 1900?
Yes, I have, and it's my favorite episode of this series. I did love the scenery was beautiful.
Yeah.
The story was excellent. I like the way they went back in time and all that. It's just, to me, it's the one I could rewatch out of the series so far, like, you know. Yeah, that's all I got to say.
Got it. Let's go to Brian. What did you make of Demons of the Punjab, Brian?
Well, what I thought of the episode is I actually thought this was a pretty well done, written script episode. I think this is probably going back to the historical element with I think Doctor Who is starting to go back to the historical elements within the show, and because they never really get to do that as much as they did within Classic Who. I mean, they did it here and there within New Who in the past, but not. I don't think really nearly as much. I mean, granted, this is like within 4th episode within Doctor Who. 5th, well, yeah, but still, I to me, it feels like they're doing the historical episodes and moments a bit more than they've done within New Who. So, I really enjoy and like that they're doing that. So, to me, this is the pretty much well-written episode and script for Doctor Who that they've had within a long time. So I really enjoy this. This is a great episode. Out of all the Doctor's companions that they've had, like Yaz, Graham, and Ryan, I think the one that sticks out and I think is my favorite is Graham. I think that's my favorite within the companions that they have right now. And Whittaker's Doctor still shines. I really love her as the Doctor. So I really hope she sticks around throughout. Maybe I'm hoping for at least good amount of 3 years at best.
No, longer than 3 years. What are you on about?
Okay, maybe, okay, 4. How about that? 4 years.
No, longer.
We can't do more than 4.
Why?
Because they don't really normally stick out that much. They don't really stand.
Break the trend then.
They don't really stay out.
6 years. I want Jodie Whittaker to do 6 years of Doctor Who.
Well, we're gonna have to see.
Seasons.
The doctors that played the Doctor in the past. Well, the actors that played the Doctor in the past never really stick around.
Yeah, I hate it when they just do 3 seasons and out.
They normally do.
I want a Doctor that stays. Jodie's a good Doctor. Jodie deserves to stay.
They normally do 3 years and that's it. The only one that stuck around longer than 3 years is Tom Baker.
And John Pertwee.
But,
Yeah, John Pertwee did, yeah.
He was there for 5 years.
yeah, but Baker was there for 7, so.
Is that all you got to say on the episode, Brian?
Yeah.
We're moving to favourite moments, so don't worry.
No, I'm not even thinking of favorite moments, but just before I let you do the next bit of this, I was just wanted to say I love the aliens within this episode. I think it's cool.
Are you typing to them now?
No,
You're hitting your
no,
keyboard
no,
pretty hard.
no, I think it's like a cool design of the aliens and a cool. I thought it was like a nice little thing and way that what they do. So
You mean they watch over people dying without witness? Which you've got to remember, this was on Remembrance Sunday. This was on Remembrance Sunday, so really it fitted very, very well with them not being assassins, but they watch over people that die without witness. And I'm going to go on to one of my favourite moments, since we're going to move there in a minute, is towards the end, where the brother's going to die, the one getting married, because it's been foreseen, and the doctor and her companions are just standing there, and suddenly the aliens come and block the view, because that's and then you hear the gunshot, and I thought that was amazing. And when in that where they've got the machine in their base, in their ship, and you've got all the heads, the hologram heads, and his head just goes up like that. It's his hologram. Stunning. But the whole thing was stunning. Like Steven said, everything about this episode, every single shot, the scenery was mind-blowing, and the music throughout it was just phenomenal. Everything about this episode, the writing was brilliant, the scenery was brilliant, the acting was brilliant. The villains were, well, they're not really villains, they're monsters, they're creatures. These creatures, they used to be evil, they used to be assassins, but now they've become good because their planet died, it got exploded or whatever it was. And they just look phenomenal. Really, they really did. I am really impressed with how they look. Whoever designed them and whoever put them together, top marks, really top marks. So many good moments in this episode, especially with when Graham is talking to Yaz and Graham's talking to the brother who he knows is going to die. And I also like how it's so, you see, the thing is with Chibnall's era of Doctor Who now, every episode has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And this story had a beginning with the grandma, had a middle with all the adventure in the middle with the creatures, and then had an end. It fitted perfectly, all wrapped up into a little neat bow, and it was perfect. So yeah, let's go on to favourite moments. Let's go Susan and Alex. Let's go back to them.
So my favorite moment, I guess, was when I really liked the beginning where with Hernan and the watch, the broken watch, saying that this is what your grandfather gave me, and I'm like, yeah, not really grandfather, but yeah, I like that Hernan was really sensitive to that. And I like how brave, I thought that their wedding, that they're, coming together, it was like, even though it was not racially diverse, it was religiously diverse couple, and that was near and dear to my heart. And I really love, I loved and then I gotta say, I love the end credits with the sitar and the Indian sound. to the end credits. That was really, really beautiful. And my the light was gorgeous. Oh my gosh, you're right about the light, Stephen and Aled. I mean, like the whole, like the scenery was amazing, but they captured the Indian Pakistani light so well that they, I think that they may have been on location in India, Pakistan. I'm not 100% sure, but it was beautiful. Here's Alex. Speaking of beautiful, here's Alex.
Yeah, I was actually, thanks. I was actually reading the Mahatma Gandhi, a very small outline. I guess he was born in 1869 and was assassinated in 1948.
Yes.
And of course, they also talked about not only did he, nonviolently confront the British and the British rule, but the fact that he was assassinated also, which a lot of people have forgotten about, and the fact that it did divide India into two entities. So I guess they sort of brought it up, but they didn't specifically, bring it up because maybe it would have been too political. I'm sure the BBC probably doesn't want 1,000 letters complaining if they went too much into detail.
Yeah, but you got to remember, Alex.
Right.
It's only a 50-minute show.
Right, and it's a
You
sci-fi
can't put
show.
the whole of history of
Right.
India or the whole history of whatever in.
Right. Well, I mean, again, I know that we're critics, but also literary critics would also mention that, of course, on a TV show, you can't go through the whole, 40 or 50 years from 1869 to 1969. It's too much to cover, and it's too much to cover in a 50-minute program. Plus, it's a sci-fi show. So even though they can bring it up and they can so even though they can bring it up and they can reference it, and of course it did end hopefully as well. That's the other good part about science fiction, is that you can be half political or somewhat political, but you don't have to end the show on, everybody's dead or there's no relatives, because as we know, what's her name? What's the girl's name?
Yes.
Yes. So, they go back, spoiler alert, they go back into the present day, and the grandmother is still alive, albeit probably 90 or whatever her age was. And, there's a better future, just like they did with the Rosa Parks story, that just because their setting was incredibly heated or very likely racist, it doesn't have to stay that way. So that's another good thing about fiction and science fiction, is that if it's written well, if it's written within the fundamentals of science fiction, you don't have just one type of person, you don't have just one type of conflict, and at the end of the story, you will still be around. It may not be the best scenario, or it may be the best scenario, but the point is there's a tomorrow. The point is there's a future. So you don't have to stay in one place as it might be if it was, a murder mystery or a biography or something like that, that you might end up in the exact same place, or you might have just very little progress. I did like the scenery. I did like the aliens, even though I thought it was a little tacked on. But again, they have to rush it. Plus, there's no two-parters, and it'll be interesting to see when they end the season what the internet debate will be. Hopefully somewhat constructive as to what, probably not. That's one thing that the internet does
There's a
not.
bit too much wishful thinking there, I think, Alex, for the internet.
Yeah.
You've asked a bit too much.
See what they choose as the story that should have had another episode to it. Anyway, I'm basically done with that.
Oh, are you sure you don't want to go on for another 40 minutes? No? Okay, we'll go to Stephen for favourite moments.
What's the companion's name? The girl.
Yes.
Yeah, when she meets one of her relatives, and that emotional encounter, and when the the wedding is going to take place and all this and that. I just loved everything about the episode. I thought they're excellent. That's all.
Yep, that's fine. Let's go to Brian. Favorite moments, Brian?
Favorite moments to this episode, I think would probably have to be, I think the first one would probably have to be from when the, when they find the inside of the alien spaceships, and how the way they entered the spaceship was like a little portal, and it kind of reminded me the way that they entered the spaceship, the visual effects and design and everything, how they went in the spaceship. It kind of reminded me of like Harry Potter or something like that. And also like with that is the force chase within that scene, how like the Doctor and the rest of them were getting chased by the aliens because they thought they were doing harm, and well, at least they thought from that point within the episode. So I thought that was pretty cool. Second favorite scene is probably when the Doctor is trying to like
construct that thing that she makes.
Doing like a homemade science.
Yeah, the homemade science project. Yeah, thing that she does. What she wants, like goat's dung or something like that.
we don't even really see the Doctor do that. I mean, mostly only Pertwee normally did that back in the classic era. So I'm glad they get like I'm glad that they're doing I'm glad that they're having the Whittaker's Doctor to do more of that like they did back then. So I thought that was one of
something practical, something like a proper science-y thing to do. Yeah,
practical and science and everything. I thought that was a pretty good moment. And lastly, my favorite moment would probably have to be the ending. Even though it was kind of sad in a way, I thought it was beautifully done. Like having the aliens have the holographic heads, like you said, Howard, and just due to the fact that Yaz went back to her grandmother's place, and she like were asking a teeny bit more, but at the end of it, she was fine the way that she was fine in just the way and left it be. So I thought that was beautifully done of an ending for the episode. So I think that is my lastly favorite moment. So.
Yeah, no, it was a beautiful ending. So let's move on to final say and score. Let's go to Stephen Price first.
Definitely the best episode of this series so far. Well, it could be better. To come, this gets a solid 10 from me.
Brilliant. Let's go to Alex and Sue.
Yes, Mike.
Oh, right. Oh, sorry.
I can rewatch it sometime in the week.
Yep. Let's go to Alex and Susan. If not, we can move to Brian.
Ready.
Yep.
I would like to agree with Brian about the horse chase scene. I enjoyed that as well. And so I too will give this a 10. It was emotionally rich. It was well written, and it was beautiful. And I love it when they go on location. And I loved what I found to be the parallels with the Marco Polo story. I thought that was kind of a great throwback because, of course, Hartnell is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And happy 55th birthday to Doctor Who. So here you go, Alex.
Happy birthday 55th of Doctor Who, where the logo and the trademark and the TARDIS and all that are still going around. And they're very lucky because not every sci-fi show lasts that long, not even the Twilight Zone that came before it. So the only competition they have is Stargate and Star Trek and Star Wars, but that's fine. I'd give this episode probably 8.5 for what they were trying to do. And again, that's the wonderful thing about Doctor Who is that you can change the companions or the friends. You can change the Doctor, which is now a woman, which is just fine. And they've brought it up, but they just make one comment and let it go. And that leads to a lot of variety. You're not dealing with the same person. You don't have to come up with 10,000 universes. You don't have to have 10,000 ships. But you can still change it. You can still have variety. So you are watching the same show, but in a way you're not. And now with the new producer and the new actor, you're definitely not. So they get to retool it, which you can't do with every version of Star Trek. You can't do that with Star Wars. You have to come up with totally new characters, and then you have to either have them go in a parallel universe or whatever other stunt you have to use. But, and the nice thing, right, and the nice thing is, well, anyway, the other nice thing is it's not connected to the government. They're not soldiers, so you can do a lot of things also. And that's one of the reasons why it's been around so long. Plus, they can do many different type of science fiction stories and mystery stories.
Yep.
So, and other things. So, that's the other reason why it's been around so long. And it's an incredibly quirky show. And you don't have that with every other show. So, that's why it's one of my favorites. I have other science fiction shows that I like the 70s Tomorrow People and the 1970s version of Blake 7, but they're not as hopeful and they're not as nice, and the characters are pretty mean actually in some of those stories. Sure. Not just the villains. Okay.
Thanks for that, Alex. Let's go to Brian since he's the only one left.
Am I? I didn't even know
what
that.
You're going to score out. Give us your score, Brian.
I think I'll probably give this episode I'll probably give this a 10 out of 10.
So you got 3 10s. Wow, 3 10s, 8.5. I'm going to go exactly with Brian, Susan, and Stephen. This episode was fantastic. It had a proper story with proper characters. It had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it was excellently filmed, excellently. The music was excellent, the acting was excellent, the creatures were excellent. It was just excellent. I can't understand how some people don't enjoy this Doctor Who. But maybe they just like other shows. Maybe they don't like Doctor Who anymore. Maybe they would rather watch, I don't know, I'm a Celebrity or something, which is fine, but this is a 10 out of 10.
or I always suggest Stargate is good.
Oh, I love Stargate, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't knock Stargate. I love Stargate, yeah. Jack O'Neill and all them. I love Atlantis as well.
Mm-hmm. Just watching a few of those last night, yes. But
the Wraith are amazing in Atlantis. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up here, so I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Thank you for watching. Look after yourself. Take care, and we will see you next time.